don't use the HDMIs, it'll turn the screen red. So I was like, okay. This is Thunderbolt.
Yeah, so I can use.
Oh, you can use Thunderbolt. Okay, great. Hopefully we can go in this order.
Sure. That way we don't have to.
Should we plug in?
Yeah.
So while they're getting set up, we're going to go ahead and get started in a couple minutes. Kamiko isn't able to be here today, so the presentations are being recorded. So if you can make sure to kind of, this distance between Connor and the mic is like fine for recording purposes, but if you want to walk around, you can also take off the mic, move around with it, bend it down, up, whatever. So the presentations are all being recorded, and Kamiko will look at them later to give more extensive feedback. In class today, I'll also be giving feedback. And thank you to everyone who's presenting on the earlier of the two dates. It also means you get more time, it'll be more laid back. We only have 4 groups today, so you each have about 20 minutes, I mean including time for Q&A and transitions. Nothing, you don't have to pick us up.
Should we start? Or? Yeah. Are you guys ready?
No?
Cool. So, Sun, June, Connor, and we created Soundhammer for our midterm. So Soundhammer is an object, or is a tool for users to explore objects in the world around them. This is what you're looking at, the latest iteration in a number of iterations in which we explored the notion of sort of metaphors that users have for objects. We explored notions of could this object be an instrument to manipulate sound, but ultimately we landed on this object being a tool by which you can record in the loop. So trying to make an intuitive sequencer for users. Sure, I'll just stand in front of it. Sure. Is this going to be too close now, you think? Okay. So ultimately landing on a loop sequencer. Why sound? Well, for us, we really liked how tangible sound is. It's not as obvious as visual cues. It's also easily reproducible, or more technically feasible to reproduce, unlike, say, taste or smell. Some challenges we faced, principally, I think the biggest one was the difference between music and sound. Like, how do you give someone the ability to create sound and have it be beautiful? We resolve this, we feel, by giving users the ability to have like an intuitive control over how they manipulate that sound. And so giving them an easy way to loop that sound lets them kind of make a sort of music. And also the affordances built into a hammer, which Sun's going to speak more about.
Okay. So in our process, we started by exploring which everyday objects users would hit to produce sound. We looked at things like drumsticks, which is like obviously a musical instrument, and there are things like hammer, mallet, or even childhood squeaky mallet thing. And we are also inspired by this recording box here. It's a toy that lets you record a sound. Hi everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And then play back
Hi everyone. Hi everyone.
at a different speed.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. So why it has to be hammer? There are lots of affordances we can work with in a hammer. It got big head that we can incorporate different hardwares and speakers. And for the handle, we can have a lot of affordances such as elongation. We can twist it, bend it. We can even shake the hammer around. And obviously, we use hammer to hit things. So in our exploration process, 3 affordances came obvious to us, which is elongation, shaking, and hitting. So that's why we come up with sound hammer. So let's see how it works.
So June sees sound hammer on the table and he goes to pick it up, right? When he grabs the handle, he activates a toggle switch in the handle which turns the hammer on. He thinks to himself, this is awesome, it's a hammer, let's go smash something, and hits, say, the table. There's a ultrasonic sensor in the head of the hammer which detects the proximity of the sound of the hammer and the table, records it, and loops it automatically. He thinks to himself, what is this gold handle, and thinks to pull at it. Pulling the handle elongates the sound of the loop, slowing it down and giving it sort of a weird diminished pitch effect. He thinks to himself, well, what else could I hit? And finds a cowbell sitting on the table. When he hits it a second time, he creates a second layer on his loop. With this multi-layered loop, he goes to explore the world around him. What else could I hit with this hammer? When he goes and, say, walks to the wall to hit the wall, he puts the hammer down to his side, which, when the hammer is inverted, diminishes the sound slowly, ultimately getting to sound 0, which clears the memory. So in these few actions, he's explored all the functionality of the hammer and can now take it wherever he wants and go explore objects in his world, in the world around him.
Okay, so this is our 3D modeling demonstration of the prototype of our sound hammer. I designed the 2 sides of the hammer colored differently because one side is for recording and the other side is for playing. And we are going to put a lot of function, depends on those affordances that you have seen. I just put buttons on top of it and in the handle of it. So that means those functions, and also elongation handle, and you see the button for any other function. And also there's a black box for sensors. We are going to put some sensors such as light sensor or some sound sensor or the other sensors to adjust our sound depending on the environment for ambient design. So that was our prototype of the sound hammer, and it is the end of our presentation.
Yep. Yeah, so if there's any questions, otherwise, we're all set.
Yeah.
Okay, Gabe.
Gabe?
What kind of effects do you think so you talked about the input that ambient sensing would have, and sorry, what kind of output might how might that affect the sound?
Oh, those sensors?
Yeah.
Like, if you go to the bright side, like, it makes the sound brighter, like, more, like, high frequency. And, if you go to the dark area of the room, like, it just makes sound more darker, which means, like, it has more low frequency. Yeah, I'm thinking of kind of those things.
What do you think about the shape of the two lanes or other lanes when you add sound?
Oh, how could I shift, like, input of the sound? Like, as you see those...
Oh, can you hold the mic too while you answer questions? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like, as you've seen the buttons, like, where is it? The 3D modeling? Like, there are, I'm not sure, like, you could see, like, this is red, and then this blue, and the other has green and yellow side. So we can, as you've seen the affordances of the hammer, we can twist the handle. So, like, if you twist the purple button on the side of it, like, and just matching those buttons, it means the layer of the sound. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to add to Gabe's question, to add to Gabe's question, we thinking about reverb, echo, and also some pitch bending. We might be able to do some pitch envelope, something like this. Yeah, that's not our sound.
Hi everyone.
Oh,
Hi
no.
everyone.
No. Yeah, maybe something like this.
I think it'd be interesting to figure out how you, because I think the affordances of the hammer, like, you could figure out how that's working, like, what it's doing, but it's interesting how you would communicate the fact that light or something else is affecting the sound, or, like, I guess, how would the user know that it is being affected, and would they be able to predict, like, would it make sense to them how it's being affected based on the design of the hammer?
Yeah, I think we saw it as there's sort of two sides. There's the motions that you would do right when you pick a hammer up, like grabbing the hammer, shaking it upside down, putting it upside down. But then there's another category of motions that you wouldn't typically do with a hammer, like twisting it or shaking it laterally, which if you made the sensor like sensitive enough, the user could maybe pick up on and notice, thereby like understanding sort of the mechanics and exploring it a bit more. That's sort of why we decided on having the clear be this diminishing volume, because you wouldn't notice it. Like, we thought maybe we could just have it be a binary, like on or off if it's inverted. But when you go to hit things, you might go upside down when you hit it in the everyday course of using the hammer. So why not make it like slightly diminished so that they pick up on it and notice it and then can explore and learn the full functionality. Yeah. Malu and then, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I think we had exactly that discussion. Like, do we have the ability to export these songs as like compositions, like you said? And we decided that ultimately, because this is a mobile artifact, we thought it would be more fun and more sort of interesting as an exploration to be able to go around and hit things and just have it be a very like like to explore the sound properties more than the ability to create a composition from the objects around you.
Like, this is kind of more, like, we can say it as composition of music, but like, if it's not music, but it is also fun. So like, our purpose is to like feel the sound more tangibly, and like more like we can make some enjoy for the sound, like as you see the sound box. Yeah. Other questions?
Yeah, sorry, I'll jump in real quick, but then we can open it up again. I think there's like really interesting So I guess I'm wondering like what it's like a toy hammer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What the toy hammer evokes for you in terms of interaction and like, and what other like cultural associations it has and whether you want to bring those into like your interactions with the piece. But then like thinking more about like a regular hammer, which we've been using pretty recently, like a lot of it is this repetition. And so like to hit something once and have that start looping for you is almost like counterintuitive if we're thinking about traditional hammers. I don't know if this is the toy hammer, but like, you know, you hit it over and over again, the regular hammer. So I'm wondering about like automatically creating those for people versus it being about like that rhythm of the labor, which I think is one of the things I enjoy most about hammering and nails. I don't know. So I think that's something to think about. And then the shape of the hammer itself and like the toy-like thing could be to encourage people to be playful. Maybe that is what you're going for, or maybe it's something to think about more. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to get your responses. But I love how you're like outlining the different affordances of what you can do with a hammer. And I think a lot of your decisions really make sense in terms of like I think twisting like turns it on versus turns it off, which I think is cool because that's something you might do, you know, only occasionally or every once in a while, and that is kind of like an action where you have to reposition the way you're holding it. So that totally makes sense. And then I was curious how when you hit this tool, was there like a mic in there that got that sample, or is that the idea?
Yeah, there's a mic inside. Yeah.
So it's really the sound of the hitting that gets recorded when you hit something. That's
Mhm.
super cool, I think, but it also means you really have to think about the plastic
Yeah.
because you
Mhm.
might also just be getting this out of the plastic. So like the kind of material that you use to make the hammer, yeah, will really influence it. But yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking about those things like such as you mentioned about the twisting or like button thing. Like and like our first idea was like
The other group wants to set up at the same time. That'd be great. Sorry.
oh okay, yeah.
Yeah, Nancy gave in.
All night.
Oh yeah, sure. Like our first idea was like our handle was full of buttons and sliders and like those like functioning devices. But like we told the idea to Kimiko and like she didn't like it because like it should have to be more like intuitive. So like yeah, we changed our idea to like affordances of hammer. Yeah.
And I think that I can see that happening, and I love it. I want you to go even further and think about like what do people already do with toy hammers versus regular hammers, and like yeah. And then how do you combine that with this idea of like musical exploration?
Want to say something?
Yeah, just I guess last point that like just the notion of like culturally what a hammer is. Like there's the very like physical repetitive hitting. Though also though I think what we were trying to go for is like the carnival hammer and making it playful and sort of like to have an artifact that begs the user to go out and hit things with it. But also culturally, I mean, we spoke about like Thor's hammer
Yeah,
or
Thor's hammer.
I don't know, do one of you want to speak about the in Korean heritage what the
Oh, yeah,
what
that's
the,
right.
the hammer represents?
Yeah, the Asian culture, like there's some kind of ghost, like it's more like ghost than some big guy, ghost guy, and he always brings some bat or hammer like thing and smashing things, and like it turns to like this some broomstick to a human or something. Yeah, like it's called a magic bat or magic hammer. So like we like gain some the analogic something.
Yeah. So definitely like realizing that yes, people are just going to want to go smash things, but hoping that like making it look playful and trying to embody some of like the cultural elements, we could make it at least communicate like a more playful side of smashing things and making new sounds. But
I wonder if it could even be like larger than this, but you have to do these like super theatrical
yeah,
motions, like you could not use it as anyway.
yeah.
Maybe we can move on to the next.
Sure,
sure.
sure.
Sure.